What's up, Carly and everyone else, everyone in the entire world that's currently listening to this all at the same time? We're back, new episode, new day, new year even.
Yeah, this is our first one this year. Wow.
First one of 2024 and many more to come, hopefully. How you feeling? It's a new year, it's a new everything. How you doing?
I'm doing.
You're staying busy. I think
I'm definitely staying busy. Yeah. No, I'm good. I got a lot of dog barking going on and getting ready to travel, which I love. There's some construction going on outside, and we're like having a Pacific Northwest version of a hurricane, I guess. I don't know if that's a real thing, but no, I'm good. And you know what? I think actually today we're also 3 months into deployment. So yay for that.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
what are
today's
those
90
usually
days.
6 or 8 months?
Yeah, somewhere around that. We'll split the difference at 7. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. So we're chugging right along, and I think we're finally starting to maybe make some progress on the house. And it's gonna
nice.
freeze here, and so they're actually gonna come and, even though the insurance company and the contractor haven't come to the agreement on the whatever, they're gonna actually come and put some insulation in so our pipes don't freeze, and so that our gas bill can go down. So
That's very
yay
good.
for
That's good
insulation.
stuff.
Yeah. So, and getting ready to travel, headed to Peru. So that's gonna be quite the adventure.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that whole adventure?
Not until afterwards.
Okay, interesting. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't know what to say about it yet, other than tell people what I'm
doing. Want to give
doing.
a sneak peek? Yeah, of what's going on. You
A
don't
little
have to.
tiny
You don't have
sneak
to.
peek. Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Well, I've been keeping it kind of close to me. I haven't announced it anywhere. I actually found that I've for the most part left social media, which was a big shift for me because I was on social media a lot because before I was doing energy work full time and I was doing pure romance full time, I needed to be on social media, especially once COVID hit. But once it stopped being a necessity, I found that I really just wanted to kind of walk away from it. So I've been holding it really close to me, this trip, because it's certainly something outside of anything I've done before. I've been on this healing journey for over 20 years now, and I haven't really done a whole lot of plant medicine. Now, with that said, I did a lot of psychedelics when I was younger, not from a place of power and not from a medicinal place, And really, actually, now that I think about it, I think I've only done mushrooms medicinally one time, and that was when I went down to San Diego, and we laughed for 6 hours. It was fantastic. But I am headed off into the jungle of Peru for a 9-day ayahuasca journey.
Oh.
Yeah. So, it was interesting because for a long time, I didn't think that ayahuasca was going to be part of my journey, I didn't feel particularly called to it at first. And looking back on it, because I've been reflecting on this a lot now with the trip being 2 days away. And looking back on it, I think that it wasn't I didn't think it was going to be in my journey because I was afraid of it. I was afraid of what I would uncover. But, for the last few months, and really honestly longer than that, for the last several years now, I've been digging in the mud, and specifically in the last few months, I've been diving really, really deeply into all of the shadow components, all of the things that I maybe would have ignored. And a lot of stuff has been coming up. And I've been able to greet it with this, I don't know, from this place of appreciation, which has felt really, really powerful. And I'm in deep appreciation of that. And so this opportunity came up a year ago, actually. And when it did, I thought about it and I talked to Vince about it because it's actually the trip that I'm about to take is a trip that Vince very much would like to, but he's active duty. He
okay.
cannot. Like, not until he retires,
Although it probably would be good for all our soldiers to take ayahuasca first.
I think it would be great, like
Probably be beneficial.
I think it really would. And I don't think that's something they test for, but Vince is very much a by the books kind of guy. Like, can you even, like, I don't even know. Here, test for this random magical plant medicine. Yeah.
Sure.
So, but he's such a by the book guy. There's no way he'll do it until he retires. But he actually, I know you're a big fan of Aubrey Marcus, and he actually started hearing about ayahuasca journeys from Aubrey Marcus. And there's this guy that works with Aubrey. I can't ever remember his name, but he's like shared a lot of like in-depth details about his ayahuasca journey preparation and what has unfolded from those. And Vince has been really, really into that for the last few years. And so when the opportunity arose and I told him that I'd received the invitation, he was like,
do it, live through me.
He really, yeah, he really was so very much like, yeah, he's like, if it feels like a yes to you, then you absolutely should go and do it. And so I spent some time like reflecting on it and asking about it and, looking at the fears that were coming up around it, because there were plenty of fears coming up around it of, like, what will this do? What will it uncover? Will it negatively affect my ability to do my work? Because, now that I'm doing energy work like 100% of the time, there was a fear that it would, I don't know, interrupt something. But once I got past the fear or moved through the fear, noticed it and it kind of released, then I recognized that, it was my small self absolutely trying to keep me from uncovering whatever this journey is about to uncover. Because the personality body wants you to stay exactly the same, and you can't go do something like this and come back the same as you left, So here we go. And, it was interesting. I was working with a client earlier this week, and she's like, why would somebody like you want to go do ayahuasca? I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting statement.
Yeah, what does that mean? And she was like, well, I've journeyed into plant medicine because I wanted to open up psychically. She's like, but you're already open. And I'm like, well, I still have a personality body. Like I still get stuck in my own stuff just like other people do, like it's, the intuition and the messages and the guidance that comes in, a lot of times it works better for other people. Like I still go see my teacher and, have somebody work with and on me too, so why wouldn't I go see a wonderfully wise, beautiful medicine, So I have no idea what to expect, which I actually really like that, I know that other people have had their own experiences. And I also know that the one thing you can expect is that it's going to be completely unique and individual and exactly whatever you need at the time. And so I feel like I've been doing a lot of prep work, honestly, since last January. So like a year of prep work for this journey, because I felt like as soon as I answered the call, she started working with me, like I started having stuff come up in much different ways than I had before. And really, honestly, for the past year straight, I really have been diving into the shadows. And I'm really actually grateful for that, because I feel like I'm going there lighter and cleaner and ready to see what's going to come up. So
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to approach it. And, talking about the call to it, I mean, from most people, almost everyone I think I've heard talk about it, that's a part of it. Like you have to feel the call to it. And, it's not something you go out and do recreationally or, just kind of for shits and gigs. It is, an endeavor. And, I think you're approaching in the perfect ways. And it hasn't been something that's called to me personally. I've been interested in it. I always have. I've always, heard interesting accounts from people. But I think you're going to have an excellent time and really enjoy it. And I'm excited to hear what it's like for you specifically because, I've heard stories from people that are, beginning the path, or, I'm not going to say middle down the path, but have been working for time, but, aren't always still like, still coming at things from a certain level of personality, which of course we all do. And, but I know you're someone who's been doing this work for a long, long time. I've worked with so many different teachers, so many different practices, and I've excelled so much. So I'm really interested to hear, what your experience is going to be personally.
Yeah, I'll be glad to share it, I think.
You get back like, no.
Like, no, none of ya. No, I'm not really like that. I try to be pretty open because I feel like, I've realized along the way for a long time, especially as someone who works with other people's energy, I had this misconception or this false idea that I had to like have it all together before I was like qualified to work with other people. And then like later down the road, I realized that's total bullshit. Like who actually like really has it all together, And so I allowed myself the space to be open and vulnerable and express how I truly am, which, half the time is kind of a hot mess, in the most delightful way, but, like in our like family meetings, you guys have all seen me break down and cry and like lose my shit and get mad at stupid stuff and, the same stuff that everybody else does. So I don't see, and I'm fine sharing that. Like I think it actually helps people. I don't know. I think it actually helps when I'm working with people for them to say, oh, okay, you're actually relatable because you have stuff that you're going through too. So I don't mind sharing that. So yeah, whatever comes. I know that there's supposed to be a lot of purging that happens. So I probably won't share too much about that part. But
yeah, we're okay with you leaving that out as well.
Yeah, use your imagination, okay?
No, and 100%. I think, especially if this is work you've been doing, you've all developed a bullshit detector, to various degrees. And, the one who thinks or acts or believes they are, the Messiah or whatever, pretends to be for the sake of spiritual work, like people can understand, can feel that energy, and it's not beneficial. That, honesty is always what's in truth and always therefore the most beneficial, and that's always something I've respected about. Sorry, my dog's eating her bone all over.
Oh, that's place. Okay. I thought it was one of my dogs stealing the rest of the other dog's food again. So, we have dogs, people. They make noise.
But someone like Ram Dass, I always loved how he brought such a humanity to the teachings, and like, hey, this is what I've learned, and this is where I'm at, and sometimes I'm doing terrible things, and sometimes I'm learning excellent from those things, and all over the place. And it has to be a part of this work, because at the end of the day, we are all this animal that is human, and we all have these same emotions and to various degrees experiences and ways in which we are and relate to the world. And there's so much crossover, and pretending that there isn't helpful.
Yeah, and, I agree. Yeah, and I think it's important to be wary of anyone who does try to come across like they know everything and they don't still deal with their own stuff, because I don't care how long you've been on this path. There's stuff that comes up, there are experiences that we have that we experience in distortion, and it's always for our highest and best. It's always, even when it feels yucky or looks yucky or whatever, it's always working for us, and that's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
fully agree.
So that's what's going on with me. I am heading into the jungle. You're heading into a jungle of your own,
That's huh? Yeah. Well, just had a lot of stuff going on recently. Don't have to get too much into the details, but I recently had a breakup, and that's been, tough. A learning experience, a lot of old stuff coming up.
Yeah.
in this kind of new way of being in the world, and without my, that partner. And so it's a new experience, and also it's an experience that is bringing up some past stuff, and uh, I'm moving through it as I can right now, learning as much as I can from it, and it's just it wasn't anyone's fault or anything like that. It was
Right.
just a mutual thing based on kind of some circumstances that we couldn't really change, and one of those old deals.
Yeah, it's the way of
So,
things. And
yeah.
I have to say, like, good for you guys, like really choosing to have the tough conversations. And even though I know neither one of you guys really wanted to kind of part ways, a lot of couples look at these irreconcilable, I don't think that's a real word, but
Sure, we'll take
things.
it.
Yeah, whatever. We're taking, it's a whole new world. We can make up words if we want to. So, but a
All
lot of
words
people.
are made up.
That's true. So really, everything that comes out of my mouth is a word, whether it is correct or not. Okay, I'm going with that from now on. So if you hear something that's not real, just know that that's the basis. So, but a lot of couples, because like for years I've worked with women in their relationships, and so most of the time I see the female perspective, but what I can appreciate is that a lot of couples look at these things and they just decide to shove them down and ignore them. And so, doing the right thing isn't always the easy thing. In fact, most of the time it's not. And, you guys came to the conclusion that you needed to, and you did what you needed to do. And I think, even though it's really hard and we love you guys both so much, like you did the right thing and you did the thing that you needed to attend to. And I think in the end, you're both going to find that you're so much richer emotionally and mentally and spiritually because of it, So, for what it's worth.
No, I appreciate that, and I agree. It's hard a lot of times to have these conversations or to leave something that is, comfortable is like the softest word, but like, a part of your life, a deep and rich part of your life, and to move on from that when it needs to happen is never easy. And I appreciate her for us being able to have these conversations as well, and to approach it in a way of which it was filled with love and understanding. And that's also not it's also rare to find, and so I do deeply appreciate that as well. And it's I do know it is something I'm learning through, and eventually, is going to, and I can already feel it helping in ways, and not, not like helping like, yay, this is great. Helping
No.
like, learning from this experience. And, we had an absolutely great relationship together, and there was, so much love and so much learning and such a wonderful shared experience. And I'm so grateful for that, really. And, if I shift my focus and appreciate all that we had together and the time that we did share, and how much I learned about being myself, being in a relationship, what was healthy to love and to communicate and to be with another person, like there's so much to be grateful for there. And, that's where I've been trying to look at it from. And the other point of, the love isn't gone, and it's not going anywhere. And even though we're not able to still be together in the same sort of way, I don't or shouldn't pretend that love doesn't exist anymore, or that there isn't that still a connection in a way, and that does, transcend our lives and, what's currently going on, and all of those things. So, that's been helpful as well.
Man, what a really like healthy way to kind of move through that. And I love that, like I feel like anytime a relationship ends, I have to be honest, I didn't really have any good relationships before Vince. Like, it was the first. Yeah, I think that's fair. Um, and so to see, like, I feel like people come into our lives for a reason, a season or life. We never know which one it's going to be. And, when you can have that appreciation for whatever the learning opportunity is or was, and to learn in such a graceful way, to be able to have that. Like, I'm really proud of you guys for, like, not kind of doing it like I did it back when I was your age. It made me sound like an old lady, but whatever. Um, like, I think that's amazing. And I feel like, because you guys are in the generation after me, and I feel like, that gives me a lot of hope for the generations that come after you guys, right? For the lifting of the frequency of the planet. Because look at how you guys move through that. And I do feel like I'm seeing more and more people kind of moving through relationship in these gentler, softer, more loving kind of ways, and like having these agreements and, realizing they're coming to completion in the agreement for whatever the form was, and parting in such gentle, loving ways. So I think it's commendable.
Thank you. And, it wasn't always easy or,
Of course not.
frictionless,
I'm sure it wasn't
of course.
perfect. I'm sure you guys,
No.
You probably argued at each other. And
But, we both did the best we could, and we both were able to share love together still at the end, and have open communication, and all of these things, and move about it in a graceful way, which I appreciate. And it makes me think back to my first kind of situationship. I don't know what the fuck to call it. It was like it was like a long, weird thing I had, for a few years. And when that happened, first off, when we did like part, it was in the most like dramatic blow up fight kind of way, like bullshit everywhere. And I had such, and then throughout the whole kind of going back together, breaking up, back, a million times, I had such terrible attachment issues, so many issues around jealousy, and so much like fighting and arguments and lack of communication, and just it was, and on my own personal level as well, and a lot of that was me personally, but in my own head, I struggled so much with the loss, and I was honestly like going crazy. I was losing my mind, and I had my first ever panic attack. One of those times, I think it was my only one, thankfully.
Yeah, those are not fun.
No, I didn't know what was happening. And, it was such a hard process. And it was honestly the thing that pushed me to spiritual work like full time, because I knew I was going to go crazy if I didn't change something. I was literally going to lose my mind or break, or, it was that bad.
Yeah.
And so, looking at where I am now and how this occurred, it is to me such a testament of the reality of this work and of what we're doing, where I had a, similar, this is even stronger, more in-depth situation, right? Like by every account. And yet the way I can approach it, the way I can understand it, the way I can deal with it, the way we can have these conversations, the way we can share the love, and the way, it's an entirely different experience for the better, in every respect. And I'm coming out of it in a completely different way. As it's night and day. It feels like a completely different person. And so I do want to also be grateful for this work and for everything we've done and the guides have done with us, and my own taking responsibility and really dedicating time to this path, because this is like kind of as clear as it gets for me, as a night and day example of how my reality has been changed for the incredible, like beyond belief better.
Yeah. Yeah, I can appreciate that. Like I look at, and it's interesting too how much we learn through these like intimate relationships, in these partnerships, because I feel the same way about mine, less so with the breakups, and how I move through them, because Vince and I are still together, but like being in relationship itself, and it's interesting you talked about how that kind of like breakdown after the breakup with the out of balance time really kind of puts you on this path full time, because that's the same experience I had. Although it took me like a series of shitty breakups and like literally being like physically broken in my body. Some of us are a little slower studies, I guess. But that really, really, really pushed me into like a hey, okay, something's not right here. I'm the common denominator, and okay, so what's the deal here? And so, like, even those situations, like your shitty one and my shitty ones, it's so much easier now to look back on those with so much appreciation of like, wow, like I didn't choose the easy way to learn, but I certainly chose an effective way to learn. And man, I'm so grateful for it. Like, I would not be here sitting with you now if it weren't for like all of those things. So,
100%. And to me, exactly what you're saying, and you said so beautifully, it's such a reflection of, who we are is what we get, the energy we put out is what we attract and get in our reality. And, we were at times in those relationships where like, we had hard lessons we needed to learn because we would not learn them the easy way.
yeah.
And so we had to attract these relationships, these situations over and over again until we learned these lessons and move beyond it. Yeah. And that was our experience. And we had to fight and struggle and claw and grapple with these, in horrible ways. I mean, we had the same fight. We must have had like 20 times, and it ripped me apart every time, and we left and come back, and all the terrible.
Yeah.
I did not learn at all. It was absolutely terrible at learning. And now when my experience of the world, my learning is coming from, as much as I can hold, from places of love and from a new way of being in conversation with myself, with the world around me, with being able to see where I'm out of balance, where I'm in distortion, and try and move through it. And I still am not perfect, and I still am out of balance in tons of ways. But the way in which we're choosing to learn now, and we're attracting our reality and manifesting our reality, is entirely different because of this shift in perspective, this shift in way of being, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah, the word that keeps coming in is much more delicate. Like it's a more delicate process, like, or we're able to, because I always get a kick out of, I feel like the universe, like we get a little whisper, and if that doesn't, we don't hear that, they raise the voice a little bit. And they yell at us. If we still don't hear that, then you get smacked in the head with a 2x4.
You get a 2x4, yeah.
2x4 therapy. Had plenty of that. And, like I've been, the stuff with the house is still going on, and I had this really funny realization, like 2 days into the new year, because when the stuff with the water damage first started in the house, I was like easy breezy, like, yeah, totally get it. For our highest and best. What a fun and interesting, light way to learn how to hold things lightly. And I did really well with that until I didn't, And, and then I realized I started gripping pretty tightly onto it again. And then like 2 days into the new year, I was like, wait, I'm gripping onto this. It's time to relax it. Because there hadn't been like any movement between like the insurance company and the contractor, and like the difference in prices were still like way too big to reconcile. And then like literally the day after I decided to relax around it, then like movement started happening again. And I was like, oh, that's right. I need to surrender, Oh, that's right. There's that at another degree. Oh, that's right. A reminder. And, even as I was realizing those things, I noticed two things. Number one, that this is not nearly as big of a deal as other ways that I have learned, and I'm grateful for that. And number two, I forgot the second thing already. There was a second thing. It flew right out of my head. Must not have needed that. oh, my reaction to it was much different as well. So like my reaction to my reaction has also been shifting. So I was able to be an appreciation for that as well. So, yeah, and if you know what, if this is how I'm choosing to learn, then all right, here we are. Here we go. And I continue to ask for surrender and support as I surrender every single day. And it's interesting. I was working with a client earlier today who is also she's reached the point now, like today, where she realizes that she has absolutely no idea what's going on. She's like, don't know what I want, don't know what I need. She's been like most of us do, trying to control things, right? And that's what I said. I was like, welcome, friend. This is a super powerful place to be. Like when you recognize the fact that you're not in control of anything, you can't control anything, and you have no idea what's happening, that is such a place of power, because that's the moment of true surrender, right? Like that's the moment where you kind of like lift the eyes and you say, God, help me. I let go and I let God. And that's where I think the momentum really picks up, like when we stop thinking that I've got this, I know what's going on, I can do that, like I can do this. Well, it's always good but I can do this and it looks like this. That's where the distortion comes in. And so I was like, I know that you're really uncomfortable, and this is wonderful and right on time, like I feel like we're all kind of having this experience right now. Like, I have no idea what's going on, and every day I show up to work, I have no idea how we're going to work, what it's going to look like, or what people are going to bring, or if I'm going to get anything, or if, I don't know. Like, every single session I show up to, there's a little bit of that personality body that's like, you don't know what you're doing. And then my higher self is like, you're right, you don't, and that's good. Yeah. And when I just allow that to be okay, we have these, like, amazingly wonderful sessions, and we move energy in these, like, beautifully elegant ways. And I don't usually understand what we're doing until like the end, and then I'm like, wow, that was so cool. And that's so much different than how I used to work, where I was like, it's got to look like this, and we do this, and we do it in this order. I mean, that works too, and if that's where you're starting, that's great. And there's this like level of, I guess, maturity that comes as we surrender into it, and it's just been kind of fun to like see that shift and move and see how it impacts people when we're working. And so I invite all of us to not have any idea what's going on. Yay!
No, for sure. It makes me think of basketball, of course. But like, like Michael Jordan, he has that iconic game-winning shot where I know you know it, Carly, of course.
Totally.
Where, there's like 3 seconds left on the clock. He grabs the inbound while running, takes this crazy pull-up jumper at the free throw line and just like sinks it and just like sticks his tongue out. And it's just iconic moment. And it's like, to be Michael Jordan, you had to practice all of the regular shots, right? Yeah. You had to shoot every free throw, every three-pointer, every layup, and you had to do it a million times. But to do that in that moment, he couldn't think about any fucking shot he's ever practiced before.
Right.
He couldn't think about anything he's ever done before. He just needed to do exactly what was possible, what could happen in that moment, and just be present as all hell, and just run and get the ball wherever he got it and just put up the shot he needed to put up. And that's like not a shot anyone ever practices, and he hits it, and wins the game. And it's like, it's beautiful, and we all need the practice in all the ways. And then we also need to move to the present moment, where whatever needs attending to, wherever we get the ball thrown to us, we need to be willing and ready to just put up the shot and release all outcome to, the divine, and then just be present for it. And
I
so,
love that.
That makes me think of you as a practitioner, because you are an expert at what you do, and you're a master at it now. And it's, you've done all the practices, and now you can be Jordan, just taking all the shots wherever you want.
I don't know about a master, but I definitely have a lot of practice. So that's funny. I like that. That's a fun kind of, that's fun. That's a fun, what do you call that? An analogy, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might make up a new word for that too. Oh, fantastic. So, how's the I don't know. We don't normally talk. What do we know? Anyway, how's the channeling going?
Oh boy. I took a break from a little bit, just because I went out traveling for the holidays, and then I got sick.
Yeah.
And I came back, and we had the breakup, and it was just like a whole smorgasbord of crap, the last like month. And I wasn't sleeping, and finally I'm getting good sleep again, and it's like the best thing in the world. So thank you for that.
Yay.
But so, it had been a while, and I just did it again for the first time in almost a month, probably, the other day. And it took some practice again to get back into that space, to move there, to like start to align to the energy again. And there's a couple times where it was a little clunky, but it was beneficial. And the energy I always get from it is so beautiful and so supportive and helpful. And I thought it was a good message for where I was at. And it's something that I really deeply appreciate in my life. And it's funny because it's something that like almost no one gets or understands, and that's fine too. But it's weird to have this thing that is the most powerful thing in your life, and like by multitudes, basically. Like, it's just such an incredible experience, and like so visceral, and I feel so grateful to be a part of it. And yet, like, it's so personal because I can't really share except with the people who get it, who I'm, also very grateful for. But I don't know. It's just interesting. But it's something I really am focusing on practicing more, especially now that I have a lot of free time. It's such a beautiful experience for me, and I've started sharing it with some more friends as well who are interested.
Oh, nice.
And they've found it really, really helpful as well. And that's been really beautiful for me to see, like, these people that I hadn't talked about it with before, and then they asked, and I started sharing some stuff, and they're like, oh my gosh, this part was so interesting. Like, tell me more about this. What does this feel like? How, this, I never thought about this in this way. Like, that to me is such a vindication, and is so beautiful, because I know I'm not smart enough to come up with any of this shit. And I'm having the same experience as them, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I had never thought about that in this way. Or that experience was something it's just beyond me. Right. And then them saying the same thing, it feels really nice. And for them to say, like, I feel the energy, and I'm having my own experience of the channeling when I listen to it or read it, and energies coming in and experiences coming in. So that's been really nice, having new people to kind of share that with. And
that's cool.
So yeah, sorry, long answer, but
that's what we're here for. We're here to talk. So that's cool. I finished listening to the recent one that you sent, and number one, I felt like a lot of what came through, like, I too feel the energy of the transmissions. It's really easy for me to kind of like tap into that when I'm listening to it. So I'm always in appreciation for that. So thanks for sharing that. And there was this part about the butterfly in the cocoon, which, I feel like a lot of us can really relate to right now, because we're all, I've been talking about, like, messing around in the muck, like digging up in the mud. And that seems like the butterfly is, I think, a more eloquent kind of like analogy for that, where we've all gone into the cocoon and we've turned into goop, and here we're coming out as butterflies. And the timing, because I felt like in the channeling there was a reference to timing around the spring, which felt very validating to what I've been feeling too, because I appreciate what you're talking about, like feeling validated when people are like, yes, I appreciate this experience. Yes, I have an experience with this. Yes, I understand what you're talking about. Because, I spend 99% of my time not knowing what the hell I'm saying.
Yeah.
you know?
Same. Until after, I couldn't tell you what the fuck just happened for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
I only get like 10% of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I know. Like, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and she's like, when you said this the other day, and I was like, oh, I must have channeled that because I don't remember that at all. I was like, that's solid advice, and that must have been channeled because that's a lot smarter than I think I am.
Yeah.
But I definitely appreciate that, and I appreciate that it felt very confirming of the idea that, yeah, okay, we're all swimming in the mud right now, or we're all goopy in the cocoon right now, and we're going to come out of this probably hopefully around the springtime, and oh look, we're all just going to be floating around going from flower to flower. Hooray. So, not to say that we're not going to still face challenging times, because I'm sure we will. But I don't know, there's just something really reassuring, and something that I really appreciate about that kind of confirmation of that, of like, hey, you know what, you're all kind of wading through it right now, keep going, because it's not going to be like this forever. So I think, that real kind of, and that was really the kind of energy that I really got from it, was this really lovely kind of message of hope. And I would imagine that a lot of other people get that message from it as well. So keep it up, my friend.
Thank you.
I have not sat down to do any, sorry.
No, please.
I haven't sat down to do any channeling since I got back from Costa Rica. Like, I had so much stuff, kind of like you, kind of like going through shit. Like, I had so much shit coming up that I'm like, there's no way I'm sitting down to try and do a channeling. Like, I've been so scattered. Like, the one place that I find that I am consistently bringing in messages and is when I'm in session. Like, there's something about being in session with a client that, like, that is such a magical place for me. Like, because I can just be there and that's it. Like, I turn myself off. I just kind of like let whatever it is, like, let them take over. And so that's the only time it's been consistent. So you inspire me to, I don't know, be an allowance for that to come back if and when there's time for that. If and when it is the time for that. That's probably better.
Yes, there will be time. And I have two things I want to say there, because, you said so much awesome stuff. But, one, and that is something that's always incredible to me, is how, we have this little friend group, and we many of us channel and bring in messages. And even when we're not together, there's so much alignment in what we're bringing in. And like me and you, like, I'll bring something in, you'll be like, oh my gosh, last week I just talked all about, like, even the same metaphor.
Yeah.
We were both getting like this boat and waves metaphor for a while. And one of our other friends, after I sent this, she's like, oh my gosh, I had just brought in so much of the exact same stuff around like receipt, and what we put out in tone is God, I'm worse at saying it than in channeling, but basically it was like, God is always wanting to experience itself in the best ways. And so you, as an expression of God, are always putting out a level of tone or vibration. And so like things are always going to find the resonance in that and want to come and experience that same tone and even higher in resonance and in vibration. And that to me was a really helpful teaching of receipt, because I'd never thought about it in that way. And it's like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, even use the metaphor, like if you hit a tuning fork, another one's going to ring if it's of the same frequency.
Yeah.
Like it's just the natural kind of way of experience. And she was like, oh my gosh, I just brought in like such a similar message around all of that. And to me, that's always so awesome and powerful that, even when we have no communication or whatever, like we're apart for, 2-3 weeks, we're still bringing in so much of the same messages around the same time and in unique ways. So it's very cool always when I hear that. And I appreciate everyone sharing their stuff.
Yeah, that is cool. And it's funny too. So like the girls, we have a secret WhatsApp group with just the girls.
Oh.
Yeah, you boys aren't allowed, but it's the place where we talk about boys and sex and things that you guys probably don't want to have the conversation with us with.
It's okay. You're allowed to have secret girls groups.
Well, it's not a secret anymore, but don't tell the other boys. You're the only boy who gets to know. So, I mean, the other boys, I guess, if they listen to this, but but it's funny because like along the lines of being tapped into the same thing. So there's 3 of us in this thread, and like somebody will ask a question, and the other 2 of us were typing at the same time. Send. It's like the same message in different words, and we're like, dude, we're like all connected here together, and it's so cool that like, and it's just really, it's really affirming, and I feel like. I don't think any of us have ever had this before, where we've been so validated and so affirmed and so supported and so loved without condition, and just, like it's such a magical thing. Like, I'm so grateful for our friend group.
Yeah. Aww, no, I am 100% as well. It's been such a boon to my life, and so even just to have you guys during this hard time for me has been so beautiful. And even I want to circle back for a minute to you talking about, your channeling during work. And, I just had a session with you, and it was such a beautiful experience. And both the energy work and you, of course, personally as the energy worker and your ability to relate to things, and also the channelings you bring through were so helpful. And, we don't have to get in, I don't want to get into the details per se, but, we had like this past life of mine come up, and, your ability to both channel messages and work through it at a personal level, it was so helpful and powerful to me. And so, you are always working on this and providing such help to people. So, give yourself some credit there, even though you're maybe not sitting down every day, you're doing it, all the time, even more than me. So, it's awesome, and it's incredible. And it is, for me as well, very inspiring.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm really glad that it helped you move some energy and clear some stuff and get clear about some stuff. It's, every day I just have this like abundance of gratitude, and this also kind of like idea of like, holy shit, I get to do this. Like, this is what I get to do. How cool.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate you, and thank you for saying that. So, yeah.
I'll
so
pull some cards now that
that's exactly what I was about to ask you.
It's about that time.
Yep, it's about that time.
I got my Ganesh deck today.
And I have Wisdom of Avalon. We sat down to do this, and I realized I didn't have my deck. And this is the only one I have out right now. So, because, that's another thing I haven't been doing. I haven't been pulling cards. I've been so much in, like, the space of just, like, all right, whatever happens, happens. Okay.
Yeah. No, I haven't really done much either. I did a tarot reading after the breakup, and, with our friend Reiko's way of, like, kind of intuitioning through it, and I found that was super helpful, and I asked her for some input and guidance on that. It was really beautiful and helpful, and I appreciated that. But otherwise, I haven't been doing much cards, but it'll be nice to get a little message here and, see where we're at, see where things are headed.
I did a New Year's spread, but I did it on Christmas, so it's been like a couple weeks since I've done anything.
So you did a Christmas spread.
But I did it for the new year. So yeah, no, actually I did a Christmas Eve spread, if you must know.
Oh my gosh. The story just breaking apart by the second. Falling apart.
It was the intention.
Are you sure it wasn't a cracker spread? Or what?
It was probably, you know what? It was cheese and crackers. That's what I did. I had cheese and crackers on Christmas Eve, okay?
Dude, for Christmas Eve, my sister had us set up this charcuterie board that literally was the length of the table. Like, we put paper down across the entire table, and this charcuterie board was it was ginormous.
That's amazing. Well, I was here by myself. Cool, that would have been way too much food. Our next family gathering, maybe we could do like a charcuterie table.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
I can do a vegan side.
Oh, great. I love that for us. Yeah. So, because who knows how we're all going to be eating after we come back from Peru. Because, one of the things that they were talking about is, like, pay attention to how your body responds to things that you used to, like, eat or enjoy or whatever, because it may change. Okay, so what's our question? Do we have a question?
I'm gonna ask what what are things gonna look like? What should I look out for? How am I gonna move through the future now that everything is completely different in my life? It has been getting more and more different.
I think that's fair. I think it's your turn to go first.
Okay. I don't know if that's true, but okay.
It doesn't matter.
No. No, it doesn't. Oh, Luna's coming over to say hi.
Oh,
All
hi,
let me
Luna.
Pick her up. Let me pick her up. Oh. Yeah, she's been nice and annoying today. Fighting with her sister all day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get to see her. She's just going to hang out on your lap.
Well,
You're not going to, like, Simba her up? Aw. She's so pretty.
she is so pretty.
But she doesn't like any of us.
No, she doesn't like anyone but me, honestly.
That's okay.
Crazy. All right. All right. I end up asking the long question, and at the end I'm like, well, just tell me whatever I need to know. Just tell me whatever you want to tell me. I trust you the most. Oh, interesting. I've not pulled this card before.
Ooh.
This is beautiful. Fulfillment.
Ooh, that is beautiful.
It's so green, too.
It looks like here.
You know, it's Ganesh just reading these scrolls under this beautiful tree and this foliage, and there's just this green energy radiating from him, which, you know, the heart energy. Mm-hmm. And above his crown on his head, and he's just got all these scrolls, and he just looks so content, and, you know, as like a student, and his little rat companions bring him more scrolls. Mm-hmm. And it's such, it feels like just a fulfillment and solitude in a beautiful way, and yet there's so much life and richness around him. What do you see?
I also
Anything
like one of the first thing that draws my eye is the purple lotus. And, you know, look at the location of the lotus. It's up by the crown of his head, and, you know, the petals on it are opening. And I know in esoteric psychology and esoteric healing, we work a lot with the lotus that sits on the crown of the head. So this also, to me, feels like kind of a balancing of those higher centers energy and an unfoldment of those lotus petals, which would make sense if the card is fulfillment. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's leaning in a little bit. What is he sitting on?
I don't know. I think he's got a little pillow there, and he's just got a flowing garment below him.
Well, the energy of the card is nice. It feels supportive and supported, and it feels like, you know, it feels like the advice is, you can take a big, deep breath, because all is well and all is in divine time, and everything that you need is coming to you as you're in this flow state of abundance and love. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I like that. Let's do a quick read here. It's not super long. Fulfillment. No matter what you want to do or become, you will achieve more with knowledge. The image of Ganesh reading the scroll is a symbol of the importance of education and pursuit of knowledge. This might mean there's a period of increased study and learning at hand. You might find you want to inquire about a field of study that has been widely explored and choose to go to an experienced teacher to learn more. Look for someone to consult for more information. This may be a counselor, author, therapist, or some spiritual advisor. You will discover new skills from this helpful teacher, as they have the wisdom to provide excellent guidance and advice. Keep in mind there is also a wealth of information at your fingertips in books. Everything you read fills your head with new information. You never know what may have practical use. The more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to tackle any challenge before you. Additionally, knowledge can never be taken from you. No matter what you're longing to do or become, you will benefit from gaining more. Approach this time with great curiosity and an open mind. You know, I think this relates a lot to what I was talking about earlier about wanting channel more, honestly, and to, take this time to deepen again my study and relationship with this work. And you know that's what this feels like to me, and to kind of build upon what we've all been working on, and for what may come in the future.
Yeah, what stood out, the two things kind of popped in my head here. Number one was the teacher's Yeshua, and number two, in the channeling, because I finished listening to it this morning. I did like half last night, and then my bedtime has gotten earlier and earlier because I keep waking up at these like ridiculously early times, and I'm off caffeine for the dieta. So it was funny because there was part of the channeling that was talking about you try to be a great student and you want to learn, but there's a time when that shifts because it's less about the thinking mind. And so what that actually kind of leads me to is higher mind, which leads back to that purple lotus there. So calling in that higher mind. So that's the ninth center. That's the monastic level, the active intelligence, or that higher mind kind of thing. And so the whole thing feels like a lifting from the need to know at the level of the personality body into a welcoming of, I guess, more of that higher mind or that monastic level. So
yeah, no,
that's
absolutely.
pretty cool. Ooh, and I just got hard fire when I said that. So, all right, there's that.
I love it.
All right. I don't know. What do I need to know, right? Like, I'm getting ready to head off on this journey. What do I need to know? Or whatever. Or whatever. What would you like to tell me? What do I need to know? That's the question. All right. I get the burden card, the sacred journey marker. So...
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Looks like a foresty red forest.
It is, and it looks like it's very much forest in the autumn. And what are these, like birch trees? I don't know. I'm not like a arborist. Okay, so my small self, when I see this card of burden, there's like a moment of oh shit. But when I can relax the small self, this actually feels like a lifting of a burden, so this might be a really purgative experience, we might be purging in a lot more than we thought. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? What do you get?
I think when you think of the autumn, like foresty, and this red orange color, it makes me think of like the two bottom chakras, and a rooting. And autumn is such a beautiful time, and it is an unburdening in a way of the trees with these old dead leaves, and the dead leaves fall to the ground and then become the rich soil for it to blossom again in the next spring. And so I think it is aligned with a lot of the messages we've been receiving of like, now is the time of, autumn and winter, of which we're shedding these things, and then the spring comes, and that's the fuel, that's the food for us to, expand beyond it. And so, it's, as you see all your leaves fall off, you might be like, oh shit, what's happening, But then
the trees are naked.
Yeah. But then, the next spring comes, and, you're even taller, even more beautiful, and have such greater, I don't know, breadth of foliage. So I don't know, that's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, no, I like this idea of like releasing the burden of the old. So, if this is a what do I need to know? And I think like secretly in the back of my mind I was thinking about this upcoming trip. It definitely feels in alignment with the release of the burden, of the things that I've held that have kept me in separation, and the release of the burden of the distorted ideas and beliefs that have been given to me and accepted by me, because that's something that has very much been coming up. And There's been a lot of recognition of so many deep layers of stuff,
Yeah.
and that's been happening, like I said, for a long time. But this feels like, I don't know, like at a level I haven't accessed before, like really like getting in
Absolutely.
there. So,
Well, she's behind my head now.
I love that for all of us. All right, so we'll do the quick read. What burdens are you carrying on this part of the journey? Are you transporting those of others out of generosity or codependency? Is the burden so heavy that it slows you down? This marker asks you to stop and look at your responsibilities, your commitments, and all that you bring with you on the journey. It reminds me how the guides talk about, like, hey, are you going to carry this luggage with you? Like, we're getting onto
Yeah.
the ship, heading to the new shore. Am I going to bring all this old baggage? Actually, no, I don't think I am. Are you clinging to an unhealthy relationship out of fear? Are you taking the burden of others to prevent them from getting hurt? Do you know that this enables others to avoid learning their life lessons and doesn't really help at all? Drawing this marker encourages you to release others to their own path. It may also be a time for you to ask if you're helping because you like being needed. If the answer is yes, then the message is truly to let go of this burden, for it's born of self-centeredness. Release the burden of others to the divine. They also have their own angels and guides just as you do. Trust in the divine plan for all. On the sacred path to Avalon, you must be aware that you pack all the essential wisdom tools you will need to chart your course. Integrity, kindness, compassion, discernment, discretion, faith, forgiveness, truth, and love are but some of them. Once your tools are counted, see if the rest of what you're hanging on to is appropriate. This is the time to leave behind any unnecessary burdens and to know that you have the strength to carry what is yours. So that's interesting, because I don't feel like I'm like carrying stuff for other people. I do feel like I'm still carrying stuff that was given to me by other people. So like by society in general, and by well-meaning but distorted family members, and just like people throughout my life. So like I had this interesting realization the other day. Something about like bullying. Like I got bullied like way more than I ever actually realized. And I realized that like even from like my own family, and specifically from my own family, and I realized that like how much I took that on and like accepted that as part of who I was. And then I realized like, wait, that's not actually mine. That doesn't belong to me. I don't need that. I can let that go. So that's what I got from that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think, I like both our readings of the card and, our own interpretation or what felt right from, the little passage there. But no, I think this is a powerful one because it is the release of the old burdens, and they are weighing us down, and that's why we gotta let go of them. Not because they're great and they're helping us in all these ways.
This
It's
is so
like
fun.
no, they're weighing us down, and I like that card.
Yeah. So it's funny. It was really funny. Like my first response was like, "Oh." Then I appreciate shifting it. So thanks for that. Thanks for your read on that. That's good. So that's awesome. So what do you think? It's pretty good today, huh?
Yeah, we did a good job for also, as always, not knowing what the heck we're gonna talk about.
That is definitely how we come into this every time. So right on. So we, as always, want to thank you guys for joining us. And as always, if you love this, share it out with your friends and family. And, that's your chosen family, right? And, if you have relatives that are into this too, then by all means, pass it along. And as always, like, subscribe, share, right? Is that what we're looking for? Right on.
Yeah, sounds
All
good
right.
to me.
Anything else you got, Tom?
No, that sounds good.
Sounds like
Thank
that's a
you
wrap.
all for joining us. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Right on.
I'm excited to talk again when you get back from your trip. I wouldn't want to miss that episode if I was a listener, but
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and schedule that so that we keep you guys in the loop and we keep rolling. And we also want to say thanks for your patience. We had a little gap there for a little bit, but Hey, life is interesting, and we trust that we're always in divine time. So, with that,
Absolutely.
we love you, we appreciate you, and we will see you soon.
Peace, everyone.